Welcome back to Ben's Machines. In this video, I'm going to introduce our new build. So I bought a 2015 LS tractor. It doesn't look like a tractor right now, but that's our project. I'm going to put this tractor together. So let me show you a little bit about what we bought. So we'll start over here. This is sort of the transmission rear part of the tractor. As you can see, the engine and the front of the tractor has been removed, but you can see the hydraulics here, the bell housing. This tractor was moved around with this mechanism here that was bolted right to the bell housing. So there was some bolts that were bolted into here and on this side, and then there was this hand crank. So this is how the previous owners of this tractor, that they were using it for testing purposes. They wanted to remove the engine for further analysis, so they attached this mechanism here in order to roll this back part of the tractor around. So I've taken this off for now, and I've got the tractor basically propped up with some wooden blocks. Over here we have two boxes. These are just a bunch of random parts for the tractor. So as you can see, we have some plastic panels, the muffler. I think we have the dashboard here, the floor mat. Essentially, I haven't even had a chance to open all these boxes up. I wanted to make the grand reveal first to you guys before I dig into this. Over here we have the cab section. So this is like I said, a 2015 LS XR3135. Then over here, I'll show you some more parts. Over here we have the front differential and the front part of the frame. Over on this skid, I've got the radiator, a little bit of a shroud, I think, and I think what we've got in here is the wiring harness and an intercooler. And then the grand reveal is this right here. This is a 3-cylinder turbo diesel engine. I left this like this for everyone to see, you know, my setup that I use to take the engine. So the engine is bolted to a metal structure which is attached to this wooden pallet. I had the company that I bought the tractor from use their forklift, and they basically lifted this whole pallet up and they put it in the back of my truck. In fact, I took some pictures of the day that I took delivery of the tractor, so I'll post those in the video so you can see. But then I don't have a forklift here. The plan would be is to put a front end loader on this tractor with a pallet, with some pallet forks, so I have that capability of moving pallets around. But that's once we get the tractor all put back together. So I had to come up with a solution quick in order to get the engine out of the back of the half ton. So I backed the pickup truck over, or right here at the lift, and I just took a chain and I basically just ran the chain all the way around the legs and lifted the pallet and the motor up just enough to clear the bed of the truck, and then drove the truck ahead. So what I'm going to do now is we're going to pause the video. I'm going to take the chains off, put the chain away, put the lift of the legs out a bit, and I'll remove the clear plastic and I'll show you the engine. So stay tuned. So now what we're going to do is I'm just going to, let's unpack this and have a look at the motor. So I had asked the previous owner to wrap it with this saran wrap. It's stuff that you see usually at airports when you get your suitcases wrapped. The nice thing about this is that by having the whole engine wrapped, I didn't have to worry about getting any road salt or any contaminants flying into the motor as I drove it home. So let's dig into this. I just want to unbox things and have a look at what we have and what parts are missing, so I can get parts on order if necessary. So you're all seeing the engine for the first time as I am. So I know some of you on the internet, or some of you already have LS tractors, but I doubt any of you have an LS tractor in this condition. So the hope here is that perhaps some of you are thinking about doing some of your own work, and you can use this video and the subsequent videos that we're going to make as a reference guide. So it looks like the engine is bolted to these angle brackets that are right here, that are then attached to this pallet. So let's put this green tie strap down here. Let's take it off, and then I'll take this eyelet off so we can walk around here a little bit easier. And there's actually an anchor part right here. See right here? There's a plate with a hole. This will be handy, so whenever I have to get the whole engine lifted up to mate it to the back of the tractor, I'll probably attach a chain to this point right here. So that's a good anchor point. All right, there you have it. So that's off. I'll just unscrew this eyelet so I don't trip in that. And then when we come back, what we'll do is we'll go and we'll take out and have a look at all these pieces that we have in the box. So stay tuned. Okay, so let's start by opening up and seeing what's in this box here. All right, so here we have a cooler. So this, from what I saw online already, this cooler attaches in front of the radiator in the front of the tractor. So it could be transmission cooler, oil cooler, an intercooler of some sort. So that looks good. This looks like the ECU. The wiring harness. I believe this also bolts on to the front of the engine. So this is the first time I'm looking at this myself as well. So I'm just being careful not to damage anything. I bet you this wire here is not original, so they installed this for their test. So I'll just lay this out here for now, like this. The nice thing about this, folks, is there are labels on here. So, can line, the pedal, the battery. So that should help in identifying where all these wires go. What I'd like to see is what has been modified from the original. So far this seems to be not original. Battery plus, so it's basically just a battery connection. And I suspect that this module right here is not original. But we'll dive in deeper, of course, when we're in a position where it's time to wire up the tractor. So the first step would be to get the engine and the front differential installed first. We'll get that installed first, and then we will start we'll start figuring out where all these leads go. But important thing is we have the ECU, very important. Here we have a bag here with the battery plus. Let's open it up and see what it is. Looks like it's a wire coming off the alternator and going to the battery. So basically just the wire to recharge, to slowly charge the battery back up. So that's good, we have that. This looks like a terminal block off the battery. Probably the positive. And then the plug that's probably links up into somewhere here, which energizes the ECU. And at first glance, I'd say it's not here. So perhaps it has something to do with this, which might have been modified. But we'll dig into this later, more later. Here we've got a little bag here with some parts. What do we have here? So we've got a gasket. It looks like a plate. I think that might have been. This looks like an original, also an original gasket for the tractor. Another blanking plate, and some. Oh look, maybe a replacement gasket for this one, and a replacement gasket for this one. So we'll have to figure out later on where these gaskets go. These, I don't think these are original, so I'll put these with my scrap metal pile. There's looks like a 10mm bolt here, and a couple of bolts here, and two nuts. That's about it. This bag now is empty. Okay, so now we've got that box unboxed. Now we're going to focus on these two. I was getting a little bit chilly, and without, turning the furnace on, which would add some background noise, I think I'll just put on my signature toque and my coat. So let's dig into this and see what we've got. Looks like we have the side panel for the transmission. This transmission has a high, medium, low. So just from my research already, this goes on the left-hand side of the driver's seat. So we've got that. Here we have the side panel where the key is. Hopefully the key ignition is in here somewhere. Next up Next up, this looks like a rubber gasket that goes between probably the firewall and where the hood sits. So that's good. So let's take this out. This is the muffler. So the muffler and the muffler guard. All these parts will have to go back in to the box eventually, but for now I just want to see what we have. Here it looks like part of the firewall. If I had to surmise, is that probably the dashboard probably sits in behind here, and this is probably on the engine side, but we'll look into that further. So we'll set that there for now. Here's a plastic panel that goes underneath the steering, the steering part. This here, just we've got a little step. So there's one already on the left hand side, so this one probably goes on the right hand side of the tractor. Another side panel. Very important piece. Looks like the pressure plate for the transmission. This is the radiator shroud. Oh, just about got away on me. So here's the radiator shroud. Here's an important piece, the clutch. Looks to be like it's in good condition. Here, if I had to say, this is probably a part, probably at the front of the engine. Let's just see for fun. I bet you this probably goes here. Yes. See that? Those bolts line up. So this probably goes at the front of the engine, in front of the engine where the radiator, or right after the radiator. So this is probably where the ECU is bolted on, because from what I saw already, the engine control unit is bolted in the front of the engine. Okay, push that over here. The nice thing about this, as you can see, the bolts are all in their spots, so that's a nice shout out we have to give to the previous owners, that they do try to maintain the hardware to put this back together after that they do their testing with it, so that the next person can figure out how to put it back together and use it again. Here, I'd say this looks like, I'd say this is a coolant hose. Probably engine coolant and not oil. Okay, so basically a coolant line. Okay, so this is the pre-screen. This is the pre-screen that goes in front of the radiator. So this is meant to just catch any big debris before it gets hung up in the fins of the radiator. Plastic guard. So avoid direct spray, water spray on the ECU. So essentially a cover, plastic cover that goes over top of the ECU. Maybe something like this perhaps. I bet you this goes here somewhere. Moving on, we got a bracket. Here's a pretty heavy bracket. Okay, so a bracket of some sort. Here's the gas shock for the hood. Here's the LS miscellaneous hardware. So I'll put that up on the workbench. So we have some bags in here. Here we have hood bracket. Here's a really good example of someone who knows the some of the key features, or how to do a restoration job. They use Ziploc bags and they identify on the bag where this hardware goes. So hood bracket. So these are the bolts that we're going to use to mount the hood back on. We got that. I've seen these before. These are these hand knobs that hold the plastic console panels in place. We got some miscellaneous pieces here. Looks like a plastic connector. We'll put that here. Two metal shims. A socket head cap screw. I don't think this is original with the tractor. Two bolts. I'll put those with my other bolts here because I don't want these things to get lost. Here we have a little bit of a rubber cover. What's this? 2 dowel pins. The clutch dowel pins. 3 of them. That's good. So we have to install the clutch first before we install our engine. This, if I had to guess, is essentially just a protector tube for the next piece, which is very important, and that is the dry shaft. This is the dry shaft, which basically goes inside the bell housing here, and then this spline matches up to the differential for the front wheels. So this is essentially which allows for the 4-wheel drive mechanism to work. Okay, so that's good that we have this. We'll put that there. And I have a feeling that this tube here is just a protection tube or a cover, so I suspect that this just runs in here, just acts as a protector. This is very important. If I had to say, this is our hydraulic pump. So that previous tubing that I was showing you, it looks like it may bolt on to here. So that's possibly an oil pump instead of a coolant pump. So this is very important. We'll put this up here for now. Here's some controls. This just looks like the control knobs that go on the dash. This has the shuttle shift transmission, so forward, neutral, reverse on the left-hand side of the steering column. Here we have the cowl, the rubber. So there we go. So that cowl piece right there, that we showed you that bridges the gap between the firewall and the hood. These are the bolts that hold that in place. Here's another rubber protector, so that makes 2 of them. Oh, here's a spline sleeve with a dowel pin or a spring pin in between. I wonder if that is for this, because there's one of these in the base of the transmission in there. This probably goes here and inside. Let's just see. Let's just have a look at this. I bet you this, and let's just see if this matches up in here. Absolutely, see that? It went right in. And then as you can see, as I turn the dry shaft, the differential engages and the wheels are moving. So that works. So that spline collar fits onto the end of that differential, and I can see there's some little wear marks there, so that would correspond with the wear marks on that pin. So if I had to say this end of the dry shaft meshes up or goes in this side. Okay, so what we'll do is we'll just leave that sticking up there for now. I'll come back later and put that away. Let's continue unpacking. What else do we have here? Looks like we have some of the hardware for the that's the foot throttle and the boot and some other hardware. Might have to open up this bag. What's very important is I'm looking for the bolts that secure the engine to the bell housing. I hope we have that in here. So we've got a cut tie wrap. That's junk. Here we have a radiator hose. Probably goes on that end of that hose section that we saw there. Here we have some more bolts. So clutch bolts. Fantastic. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If I look at this, there is wear marks on 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Fantastic. So that means that it doesn't look like there's a bolt that goes in each one of these holes. But in fact, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's 6 bolts that hold this apparatus onto the flywheel, and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Here's the 6 bolts. Here we have the oil plug bolts. Interesting, oil plug. If I had to say, just for fun, I'd say that this probably goes right here, folks. Just like that. So this, in fact, is not a coolant line, or isn't for like antifreeze, but according to the bag, it's meant for oil. And here's the bolt. So there's a bolt for it. There are two copper washers. These are usually referred to as the crush washers. And then there's three machine screws and they go into this part of the pipe right here, just like this. Okay, they go in like that, and they most likely thread into this side of the oil pump. Okay. So as you can see, we're figuring things out together as we go. I've always been passionate about mechanical things and you know, things that are you know, maybe a little bit challenging, that need some thought. So that's why this is a really great project. I should say that this isn't the first time I've done this. In fact, I worked on a dirt bike and a snowmobile, and I'll post pictures of those in our video too, so to give you a sense of some of the projects we've worked on. Now I'm hoping that this bag here, everyone, is the bolts that secure the engine to the back end of the tractor, because it's a heavy one. But guess what? I don't think that's the case, because it's not jingling. Let's see what's in here. Drum roll, please. No, just kidding. Oh, another pump. Here we have another pump. I think I just realized what's going on here, folks. This is the oil pump for the engine. This is probably the hydraulic pump, because all it has is just one fitting on here. And then, so here's, you know, inlet, outlet, or inlet and outlet here. Basically a gear pump. You can see, I don't know if the video can see that, but if I can turn this, yikes, it's tough. It's basically two gears that mesh into one another, and if you can see inside, it's pretty tough. I'm not able to turn it, but basically those two gears mesh into, oh here, look, in. So this is the inlet side, and there's the outlet. It's even identified. See, it says out and in. Okay, so if I had to say, folks, this is the hydraulic pump. And let's remember the bag that we looked at. Remember this, everybody? Remember these gaskets we looked at the beginning? I have a sneaky feeling that these are the gaskets. Let's use the old one. Check this out. This probably goes, that does. That goes right there like that. This one probably went right here like this. In fact, you see this? There's a little bit of an indentation, and that indentation probably matches up with this. So that goes, that was the gasket for the oil pump, and this is, or that was, or this is, sorry, I gotta get my grammar right. This is the gasket for the hydraulic, and the nice thing about that is, here you go, I have two brand new gaskets. So these two pumps are probably driven by the motor. There should be a corresponding pull somewhere on the engine. And guess what? Here they are. Remember we were looking at those blanks? Here's one blank right here. So this is probably the blank that they installed right here. That is where the oil pump goes. Right here. So what I'm going to have to do is take these two nuts off, pull off the blank, and there's even a gasket here, and then I'll bolt my oil pump here, or we need to find the part on the engine where the hydraulic pump goes. There's a piece of tissue here. This is just a plug, so this is your coolant. The coolant water pump is here. The fan would probably bolt onto here. Something might bolt on here. There's another inlet for the coolant. So coolant in, coolant out. So let's see if we can find the blank that powers the hydraulic pump. I think I found it. So, interesting. This, I think it's right here. This is not original. So this is the plate that's on the back side of where we were looking at before, where the oil pump is. So the oil pump bolts onto the front of the engine here, and the hydraulic pump bolts on the back part of the engine right here. The bolts are there. Looks like they put a gasket there. So there you have it, folks. That's where I'm going to reinstall the two pumps. This doesn't look original. There's a little piece of tape here, so chances are this will have to get terminated, probably on that end or that side of the alternator. Alright, so hopefully you're enjoying yourself as much as I am. We just finished unboxing box number 2. Let's just have a look at what we have in the last box. So in here we have a plate. If I had to say, this is the plate that goes right there by the operator area in the center to cover the transmission pump. So I think that's what that is. This here, pretty self-explanatory. I think this is the mat. So I'll put the mat here. Basically a rubber mat. So instead of it just being, you know, on the metal floor of the cab, you'll just put that rubber mat down across, kind of like a non-slip mat. This is something that I was interested in seeing, and here it is. This is the control panel, or the dashboard. Everything seems to be in order. It's not broken or anything. That's good. That's a relief. We'll put that there. I was waiting to find this. So here's the fan. This fan is going to get bolted, or this fan here gets mounted like this. That goes like that on the front of the motor. Here's the 4 mounting bolts, and it looks like that's what it takes. It takes four bolts to mount this. Okay, so that'll go like that. Okay, I'll put this on the bench for now. Here we've got just a coolant hose. So either the inlet or the outlet. Here's another one. And it's nice, you can see that the radiator hose clamps are on it. So this one, you know, requires 2, so hopefully we'll find it in here. What's this? Maybe high-low. At first I thought maybe radiator coolant overflow, probably mounted on the front of the tractor. Okay, just here's a hose. Okay, some sort of switch. I thought maybe this could be the, it says inoperative. Here we have another sensor. So it's like a position sensor. I think this is actually a throttle, the throttle lever. Just so for everybody knows, this one's actually marked inoperative. So we'll have to kind of dive deeper into this one and figure out what we're going to do about this. So far, maybe we need to purchase one part so far. Here's the, oh, this is your air filter. So the air filter, there's two bolts that thread into here to anchor this in place. Still looking for those bolts. Let's have a look at this bag here. What does this bag say? Could this be it? Okay, ladies and gentlemen, here we go. Front axle to engine. Front axle to engine block. Maybe this is it. Let's open it up and see. Ooh. Yes, here we go. This is what I've been waiting for. This is the bell housing bolts. Fantastic. The bell housing bolts. So these are the bolts that we're going to use to install the engine to the bell housing. What a relief, folks, because this is what I was waiting to see. Interesting that these bolts they have there's different lengths. Actually, this one is a different size. Bell housing bolts to engine. There we go. These are the bolts that I have for bell housing to the engine. And let's have a look at what's in here. It could very well be that this bolt doesn't belong with the bell housing. And here's bolts that are similar size. Terminal block, so battery terminal block in here. These are the bolts that attach the front differential, like the front differential frame to the engine itself. Let's see what else we have in here. I have oh my gosh. Look at this. This is components for, let's go put this over with our other electronic parts. This is basically everything behind the dash right here. See, because this is part of the dash. This is really going to be interesting when we have to try to figure out where all this goes. Not used, OBD, onboard diagnostic. The nice thing about this is that some of these contacts are labeled, so that will help with. Oh, this is really good to see here, folks. This is something that I overlooked, but we have the key.